Well, hello friends. Welcome back to the program. Today we are going to work on Pixel Paint, and I'd like to implement some basic selection features. So currently there is no way to select anything that we worked on here and copy that out, cut that out, stuff like that. And I think that would make a really nice feature. So the goal today is to build rectangle selection and maybe copy it out and paste it as a new layer or something like that. And yeah, we'll just get right into it. So the first thing we need, of course, is an icon for the toolbar. So let's dog food our way to success here and draw it in Pixel Paint. So I don't know. We'll just make something kind of basic looking. Oh, I realize now that Pixel Paint doesn't have a way to swap the front and back colors, although the two mouse buttons allow me to draw in the different colors, so that's okay. Although I do miss that from GIMP actually, so I'm just gonna make a pp2do file here. X to swap FGBG colors like GIMP. Yeah, just make a note of that. And I don't know exactly how this is going to be like. We'll see. It's maybe not the most beautiful. Somehow this doesn't look quite right. Okay, we'll do it this way. Yeah, so it's a little bit off here. We can fix that up. And it won't be completely centered because we have 3 empty at the bottom and 2 empty at the top, but it's still good. Also, this makes me realize that we don't have a way for a layer to be translucent or transparent. Like, there's no way to erase pixels. So that's something that we need to implement as well at some point. Erase pixels completely, make them transparent. That would be a good feature, but for now, we just have to save this not as a PP file, but as a PNG, please. Rect select. Okay, well, it didn't add the PNG. I don't know why I expected it to, but we will just we'll just grab that thing. Rect select. Okay. And we will move this to userland applications. Oh, no, hold on. Base, res, icons, pixel paint, rect select, PNG maybe? Or rectangle select. Select rectangle? Yes, that'll be the name of it. Okay. And then what do we need? So the way that the different tools are implemented in Pixel Paint is each one of the toolbar tools is a class that inherits from Pixel Paint tool. So we're just going to have to do the same thing for this. Look here, we have brush tool, bucket tool, ellipse tool, erase tool, and so on. So we will just add a new class called rectangle or select rectangle tool. Yeah. And of course we will also add it here. Select rectangle tool. All right, that's enough boilerplating around. So select rectangle tool. Let's see what we need to implement for that to work. So starting based on the tool class. So tool.h. Okay, select rectangle. Part of me wants to call it the rectangle select tool instead. Select rectangle tool sounds so wrong. Yeah, damn it. All right, let's fix that. Because if we change the name now, it's a bit less of a hassle. So let's do that right away. Rectangle select tool. Yeah, that was going to bother me all the way until tomorrow otherwise. Okay. Rectangle select tool, public tool. Okay. And which things do we care about? We definitely care about mouse down, mouse move, mouse up, yeah, stuff like that. So the way that tools are implemented is that the currently active tool, whenever you interact with the mouse in Pixel Paint, the sort of the editing area of the image will forward the incoming mouse events and key events to the currently active tool, and then they end up in these functions here. And I actually don't really like the names of these functions since they kind of clash with the way we name callback hooks. But let's ignore that for now. So we'll start out with these basic things. Rectangle select tool. Okay. That's the stuff that we need. Yeah. Okay, so just some boilerplate here to get started. Okay. And we are almost in good shape to get started. So let's then make sure we add it to the toolbox. I think the toolbox widget instantiates all the tools. Yes, it does. So here we'll just add tool, rectangle select. This is the icon name, I think, rectangle select. In GIMP, it's R, so let's use R for that. Key R, rectangle select tool. Yeah. Also, I have to change the name of the icon. Okay. We're still missing something. Toolbox widget missing, blah, 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 blah. Declare protected. Oh, of course. Of course, I made it protected for some reason. There we go. Okay, and yeah, we have to get rid of the white background because as I was talking about, like Pixel Paint doesn't have a way to do transparent backgrounds at the moment. So that's something that we need to, let's see if we can do it this way. So sure, canvas size 16 by 16, center, and poof. And And then poof. Where am I going? Icons, of course, Pixel Paint. Just to make sure that it looks good. That looks pretty good, right? Yeah, rectangle select. And then nothing happens, of course, but we're getting started. So what, I guess we can just commit this as a bare bones, like just adding the tool, just to make the subsequent commits a bit more understandable, a bit more standalone. Might be nice. Oh shoot, what was that? Toolbox widget. Pixel Paint. Add a new rectangle select tool. This doesn't, this patch only adds the tool along with an icon, a toolbar icon for it. It doesn't do anything yet. Sure. And then, what do we want to do? I suppose we want to keep track of, when you mouse down, we want to start like saying that you are working on a selection, right? So we will remember where we'll have like M selecting, and then we will have the point where you clicked. Selection start, and also the selection end. So like, this is where you mouse down. This is when you mouse move. We will continuously move this around. So let's see. Oh, how does this work again? We have on mouse down, you get two events. One of them is image relative and the other one is layer relative, I think. I think what we want to do is probably what the rectangle drawing tool already does. So let's look at how that's implemented. So let's see, it remembers the start position and the end position on mouse down. On mouse up, he will draw the rectangle, sure. And then on mouse move, he just updates the end position and tells the editor to repaint itself. And then it uses the second paint function here to draw the tentative rectangle. So that's essentially what we want to do as well. So I think we're just gonna yoink a bunch of this logic. So oh, and like, right, so on mouse down cares about the event, the second or the first event out of two events. So this is the I have to look that up actually. Which one is which? That's annoying. But it doesn't say here. Oh, come on. Why doesn't it say? Okay, so the first one is layer event. The second one is image event. So the first event has layer relative coordinates. That's what's important. And that's what the rectangle tool is using. So I guess it's what we would be using as well. I'm just thinking, selection is technically image relative, I guess, because when you're drawing a rectangle, you're drawing it into a layer, but the selection in my mind exists at a higher level than individual layers, because you could have like one selection and then swap between different active layers, and you don't want the selection to move around when you do that. So I think in this rectangle select tool, we probably want to use the image event. So let's do that, and make sure that selections are image relative. And then eventually, like once we have a selection, we're not going to save that in the tool. That's going to go in the image. I guess the image is going to have some kind of selection object. And then there's like adding to the selection or subtracting from the selection, polygonal selections, all kinds of things. Let's not get ahead of ourselves though. Let's just focus on single rectangular selections at the moment. So selecting is true. Of course, unless image event button is not GUI mouse button left. If it's not that, well, goodbye. But if it is, then the selection start is image event position. Oops. And same thing with selection end is also going to be image event position. So we just remember where you click down, and I suppose we could also tell the image to update itself at that point. Let's see, image editor. Yeah, so just make sure that we get a repaint so that we get a chance to draw our thing. Okay, and then if you mouse move, then what we want to do is, well, if we are selecting. If we're not selecting, then ignore. Otherwise, again, we need the image event and say mSelection end is image event position. mEditor update. Okay. And then if you mouse up, if I'm selecting, if you're not selecting, or if the image event button is not GUI mouse button left, then we don't care. But if we do care, then mEditor, well, let's just repaint and turn off the selection for now. Okay, and then the way that we get to paint as a tool is through the second paint mechanism. And second paint is a less widely known feature of GUI widget in our GUI library. So there is, normally you're just using the paint event to paint yourself. But there is also a second paint event, which is, as the comment says, it's called after children have been painted. So the way this works is the normal painting recurses through the widget tree and paints the widget and all of its descendants, all of its children and all of their children and so on. And after all of the descendants have been painted, then there's a chance to paint one more time. This is the second paint event. And we use that in Pixel Paint today to implement preview, sort of what would be drawn if you let go of the button. So if you use a rectangle drawing tool here, this is the second paint event. As you see, I can go outside of the image and it's just drawn on top of everything. And once I let go, then it actually renders something. So you can see here when we're zoomed in that it doesn't actually, the second paint event doesn't preview the final thickness at the right zoom level. So it does look a little bit weird. But yeah, and it's used also for single line drawing and also for ellipse. Bloop. And the reason we use the second paint event is because the primary paint event is used to draw the layer bitmap. So we just want to make sure that this stuff is always on top of everything else. That's why we use the second paint event. So let's try just, let's say if not M selecting, well then don't care. And how does this work? Second paint, who calls this? M active tool, second paint, okay? And it's for the image editor. Okay, so the image editor widget is this whole widget that surrounds the that surrounds the image. So this here is the image, the white bordered thing, and then the image editor is everything around it, including the image itself, but also like this transparent checkerboard pattern area. If we look at the image editor paint event, we can see that it draws the checkerboard here. Paint transparency grid is what we call that. This is a transparency grid. And all of that stuff is done by image editor. So the image editor's second paint event will simply forward its second paint event to the active tool. We learn which layer is active, and then we get a reference to the event itself so that we can clip and stuff accordingly. And then we just need to make a painter onto the editor at that point. So let's see how we would do that. So do something like GUI painter. We need GUI painter actually. Editor, and then painter at clip rect, event rect. Don't want to overdraw. And how about we just do something like, we'll just draw a rect at this point. So graphics int rect from 2 points, the start and end, and we will draw it in red, or no, in magenta, the ultimate debugging color. Bloop. Okay, so that, oh, I see. So now it's relative. My coordinates here are relative to the image, not relative to the image editor. So if I click here, it's the same offset as the image is offset into the image editor. So if I move this around, the offset will change. Yeah, exactly. So if I put it like that, it will be almost right. It's a bit weird. So we have to do some offset stuff. But otherwise it looks pretty sane. So let's see, what will be the offset to do here? How do we know where the image is in the image editor? We have to get to the image. I think we can get to the image from the layer. So layer dot image, I think. I admit I haven't worked on Pixel Paint properly for a long time, so this will be healthy probably to get back into it. Here we go. Pretty sure that if we're editing something, let's just make sure actually. So verify editor has an image, sure, and then we'll grab it, a reference to it. And then how do we know what the offset is? We have an image editor. Surely there's some API for this. Oh, look at all these helpful looking things. Editor position to image position to editor position. My past self was thinking ahead, dude. So what I have is an image position and I want it to be an editor position. So sounds like I should just use image position to editor position. What a nice young man my past self was thinking about that. So maybe, let's see. So what we would do here is first we create the rect. So rect in image is this, and then auto rect in editor is image position to editor position. Oh shoot! Wait, it's a position, not a rect. Oh, but look, there's a editor rect to image rect and image rect editor rect. Ah, so nice. Rect in image. Right. And we have to convert that to an int rect. To type int, is that how you do that? Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, because that gives us a floating point rect. Oh, and we didn't even need the image thing. Sure. And I didn't need the layer. Sure. Oh, gorgeous. That just works perfectly. Wow, thank you, past self, for making those super convenient functions. Look at all this coordinates and offset math that we don't have to do because our past self was looking out for us. That's I'm really happy about that because as you may know, I am not a huge fan of coordinate math. So working on Pixel Paint tends to be really heavy on coordinate math. So anything that's already there that we can just make use of, super relief. So magenta is nice and everything, but I guess what we really want is to have these little wormy boys walking in a line, you know, this marching ants or whatever it's called. Is that what it's called? Marching ants? Marching ants. Yeah, right. Marching ants. Marquee selection. Marching ants is clearly cooler. So I guess there are a bunch of different techniques for implementing that. Like, yeah, you can use like a diagonal line pattern like this. But we can also like what if we just like iterate through the selection and draw like pixel at a time just for simplicity at the moment. Of course, like if you want to do something like a polygon selection, then this becomes a bit more complex. But since we're only doing rectangle today, let's not get overly fancy. And let's just come up with a way to draw this stuff. So let's see, draw or paint marching ants. Draw marching ants, maybe. So we pass in the rect and maybe like, I guess we need some kind of iteration number or something like that. So ant counter. I don't know. Ant marching ant iteration plus plus if marching ant, or I could also do that in that function. Yeah, that's better. Or wait, is that better? Because I suppose I don't want this thing. I want this thing to update the iteration on a timer, not every time I paint. Because then, like, if you were to select really quickly, it would like fast forward the march. So really, what we want is a timer that periodically repaints with the ants at a new offset. That should be const actually. So a rect and we want to take a painter as well. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And then we will have the marching ants offset. And maybe even a marching ants timer. So ref footer to core timer, marching ants timer, let's say. All right. Yeah, we'll start with that. And then let's see. So m marching ants timer. We don't have libcore timer here, so libcore timer. create a repeating timer with, I don't know, 50 milliseconds, let's say. Draw marching ants. Oh, wait, then we need to remember the rect. Oh, shoot, right, okay, so on second paint, we really just need to like draw marching ants. Yeah, we can just do it that way. And then this guy here will have all of the logic. Yeah, I think that's okay. We just have to make sure that if we don't have the editor, if we're not attached to the editor, then we shouldn't do anything. So we'll do it that way. And then we don't need that, nor that. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Although it is a bit rude to just draw at a random time now that I think about it. We shouldn't be doing that. I didn't think that through. Yeah, of course. What we want to do is what we were doing. This was on the right track. I was mistaken. All we need to do here is say if mEditor update. That's what we want to do. Yeah. Because we still want the painting to happen through the on-second paint thing. Yeah. So how should this work, though? Marching ants offset ++ if m marching ants offset is greater than, or let's say, I don't know, cut it off at 10 or whatever. Or maybe we can just let it loop around. I'm getting ahead of myself again. Okay, so what do? We have a painter and we have a rect. So I guess we just want to start in the... Let's just go around the thing. So delta x is 0. We're going from top left to top right first. So dx is less than rect width. And dx ++, I guess. Or we could even say dx is rect left. Yeah, we can do it this way. Less than or equal to x right, rect right. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so top line, painter set pixel at x rect top color. Oh shoot, wait, hold on. So let's see. Let's make a draw. Pixel. Okay, we'll figure this out. Just hold on. So we're getting x and y here, and for now let's just put magenta here. So what we're gonna do is draw a pixel x rect top. Okay, I'm gonna walk around the rectangle, and now we want to go from the top right to the bottom right. So I think, yeah, we'll see. So top right to bottom right, then we have to start, so y is the thing that changes now, so rect top, rect bottom, ++ y, sure, draw pixel, rect right, and y. And we do the bottom line. So again, x changes starting at rect right. X is greater than or equal to... Wait, I'm doing the same pixel twice here. So wait, I have to fix that. So we start there, actually. Then we go to the bottom. And from the bottom, we've already drawn the bottom pixel, so we have to start right minus 1. And as long as x is greater than or equal to rect left, we minus x, and then we draw there. So x, rect bottom. Sure. And then finally, the left line. And y is rect bottom minus 1. Rect top minus y. Oh shoot, wait, we don't want to go all the way to the top because we already drew the top left pixel here. So just a y, sure. And then we had the offset thing, the marching ants offset. So we'll do that, and then offset plus plus after each paint. And then we say if offset is %3 0, so if offset is divisible by 3, let's say, then, or not divisible by 3, then we'll paint it black. Let's see if this works. This is very, very like shooting from the hip here, because I have not really done this before, so okay, so that doesn't repaint, and also I don't see the top line. I wonder if it's clipped out. I don't know if it is clipped out or what. I guess if it's clipped out, then Oh, wait, this is all wrong. I'm not using the X here. It's just drawing the same pixel over and over. Okay, yeah, that does look pretty tight. Of course, we wanted to rotate as well. So marching ants offset, I was hoping that would actually update from this thing. Do I have to kick that off? Start, oops, a timer start is what I wanted. Maybe it doesn't start by itself. I don't remember if it does. Oh, look at that. That looks pretty cool. Wonder if it would look better if we would slow it down a tiny bit, so like 80, and also like only make a hole every 4 pixels. Oh, that does look pretty good. It glitches out every 10, yeah, because of the way that I did that thing. So, we can just use a constant here. So like marching ant length. Const expr int marching ant length is 4. Oh, that looks so nice. Let's try 5, just to try it. That feels a little too chunky, I think. Yeah, it's a little too chunky. Let's go with 4. 4 was so good. We'll probably end up tweaking these things, but yeah, how nice is that? That's so nice. Oh man, I'm so happy with how this looks. So cool. So now we have the ability to draw a selection. What happens if I change the tool in the middle? Ooh! Yeah, things get a little confused. Sure. And oh, now I'm unable to start a new selection. Wait, what's up with that? On mouse down, I'm selecting true. This can be made const. Oh, sure, yeah, of course you can. Yeah, so there are some like weirdnesses. I think it glitches out if you switch tools while you have a mouse down in flight, because then the tool that gets deselected does not receive the corresponding mouse up and it gets upset. So that's probably there are bugs around that we need to address, probably by having a notification go to the tool when it gets detached. Because if you switch tools while you have a mouse down, or we could also just not allow you to switch tools until you let go of the mouse button, that might be an option. Anyway, that's beside what we're trying to do now. So first, now let's just commit this stuff. So we will say pixel paint, implement basic rectangular selection preview. Preview only. So using the rectangle tool, you can now drag out a selection which will be drawn in the form of marching ants. Sure. Also, that exclamation point was superfluous. So the next step is when you let go of the mouse, we want to commit the selection to somewhere. So I'm thinking we're going to need some kind of selection region object, image editor. No, maybe the image itself should have the selection, or wait, is selection an image editor concept or I guess it's an image editor concept. It's not a feature of the image itself. Like the image is a composition of layers. It's not, the selection is strictly an editor feature. Yeah, so it goes in the editor. So for now, let's, or no, you know what? Let's create a new class. So userland applications pixel paint selection.h. Let's call it selection. Yes. It's fun to build new things sometimes. Selection.h, sure. Let's just grab some boilerplate here because I don't remember how to write this thing by hand. There we go. Class selection. So at the moment, this will be a simple rectangle. But in the future, we should allow arbitrary region selection. So like rectangles, ellipses, polygons, whatever you want. So right now though, we'll just have a rectangle. So because you have to start somewhere, but I'm putting it into a class so that we get the abstractions right on the image editor side. So we don't have like image editor keeping a selection rect. Because if you do it that way, it tends to eventually like come back to bite you. And if you just take that little extra time to build an intermediate abstraction, such as the selection object, and just attaching that to the image editor, then it makes it so much easier later when we want to add additional selection types, at least in my experience. So is there always a selection? That's a good question. Let's think about that while I pour some more tea. Just a second. I think it's probably nice if there's always a selection, because then you don't have to think about like who's responsible for instantiating the selection. And then you can instead have the selection have an empty state. So yeah, it's nice if you can always just call dot selection, selection dot stuff. So we'll do this, and maybe we'll even have a const getter mSelection. And we'll just put that down here, no big deal. Selection mSelection. Poof. Okay, so what do we do with that thing? Right now, we want to have an API here that simply does something like set, because it sets the selection to a new rect. Super straightforward. We can also add a clear that in the current state of things, it would do something like this, right? Or no, not like that. Like that. The empty rect. And then you could also imagine things like, adding a rect. But there's no logical implementation for that right now, other than maybe like unite. And then we could do intersection, united regions, lots of region math coming up, but not today. Today we don't have to do region math. So yeah, this is fine for now. So here, when you let go of the mouse, you've committed the selection. Then what we're going to do is we're going to call, so we're going to grab the selection rect, much like we did down there, rect in editor, and say mEditor selection set rect in editor. Or no, hold on. The rect in editor is for painting. We need the rect in image. Okay, so the selection is going to be image relative, not editor relative, because editor relative changes its meaning when you pan around. So image relative is what we want. And coordinates are image relative. Yeah, that sounds sensible. All right, and what's missing? Oh, something here. Of course. Cool. And then what do we do when we paint? If the image has a selection, I guess we gotta paint that selection. So we're gonna need to march some other ants in the image editor as well. So I guess when we paint, maybe the marching ants should be on a global timer. Now that I think about it, that might be the best, so that your different marching ants, if you have like an existing selection and you're working on a different new selection, they would have the same timing. Otherwise, it might look really weird if they're off each other. Okay, so let's think about this. Paint event needs to do something. So after we have painted the transparency grid, the image outline, the image itself, potentially a border around the active layer, then we also want to paint any active selection. So if mSelection is non-empty, I guess I need to actually add an isEmpty thing. Bool is empty. Rect is empty. So if the selection is non-empty, then, well, for now, let's just draw some magenta as we like to do. So that's an image rect, selection rect, yeah, so here's where the abstraction issue comes in again, right? So we could instead of having image editor do this directly, we can just say, hey, selection, draw yourself. That might be nicer actually. So paint yourself into a graphics painter. Why don't you? And what do we need for coordinate conversions? We need the image and editor, I guess, or just the editor. Just the editor we need. Yeah, okay. So image editor, Klook. Yeah, so again, like making that little extra step to separate the abstraction so that we don't, image editor does not need to know that selection has nothing but a rect inside of it. We isolate that information to the selection class, and that will allow us to express ourselves better here. So now we only need to say mSelection paint into painter with this editor. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll start by just drawing a rect. Draw a rect, editor, image. Oh, I don't have the editor. Image rect to editor rect, mrect, color magenta. To type int. Look at that, it stays. That's our selection. And it's image relative, so as you can see, it zooms correctly, like it respects the zoom level and everything. Very, very cool. And then if we change the selection, boop. So that's really cool. Now we just want the selection to, I think I wanted to have some marching ant action also. What on earth just happened? Okay, well, I think the zoom tool is a little bit confused, or the zoom feature, but let's ignore that. We don't have to style every yak. Yeah, so we'll start with just this. Pixel paint. Add a selection class and have image editor has a selection. This will represent a complex region-based selection in the future. For now, though, it's just a simple rectangle. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. And then the ant thing. So again, with the marching ants, I'm thinking maybe what we want is to add some kind of a helper for this, like for marching around a rectangle. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I guess what you want in the end is a way to march around a polygon. But right now, we could also just put this somewhere else. So like, well, I need this logic and I'm painting into image editor. So maybe we can bring it to image editor or even to the selection class, actually. That's probably the best. Yeah, selection can have this in it as a helper. So here we'll just say like selection, draw marching ants, and then it will be a public static helper function of selection. Static. Static cannot be const, of course. Makes sense. The marching ants offset. Whew. Should that be global? Perhaps it should. I think perhaps it should, yes. So we'll put this here, and we can put this here, static, s. Oh, just do that, yes. Maybe you will be an int. Nothing fancy. And who gets the timer for this thing? Maybe image editor itself can have this timer. Yeah, it doesn't need to be in the select tool. What's that even about? Yeah, we can move this for sure. To image editor gets a ref editor to core timer, or it can even be in the selection class because encapsulation timer.h. It's a static thing though. Yeah, so it will be a global thing even. Okay, we'll just hide it in here. Does this make sense? It feels sensible. But, okay. I'm thinking a bit too much about this. Let's not get fancy. Let's put it as a member of selection. Core timer, m marching ants timer. Sure. And selection can also have a back pointer to its editor, because that will be useful for things like this. So editor is editor, sure. Explicit, Image editor, M editor. Kluk. And then the selection tool loses these two boys. And everything is still good here. Sure, sure. Update marching ants, let's say. Or no, this will go in the constructor selection. Yeah, so if you have multiple image editors in the same application, which we don't support yet, then you would get an individual timer per editor. That's something that we should probably consolidate and improve in the future, but we don't even have multi-image editing. So something I would like to have, but not a concern at this specific time. So that's as far as we go architecturally at this time. And then these suddenly can just be members, actually. So yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Oh, dang it. Right, because it's static. Okay, maybe it shouldn't be static then. Maybe it was fine for it to be a member, and here we can just do M editor selection. Yeah, that works too. That works too. Okay. I guess that's actually almost nicer. Okay, and then we always have an editor, but if the selection is empty, then we don't have to paint it. Oh, we still have to update if there's anybody else marching the ants. Okay, yeah. So this is not ideal, but I think maybe it's okay. And we have to make sure that we call the right thing. So not draw rect here, but rather draw marching ants. No matching function for the constructor's instantiation of selection, which of course wants a back pointer to us, so no biggie. I'll just give it that. Okay. Kluk. And look at that, it stays. That's so sweet. Oh man, I love it. I love it. Oh, it's so good. Look at that pixelation. Okay. Yeah, zooming in and out with the mouse wheel doesn't feel as powerful as it should. Like, I feel like when I'm this zoomed in, I want the zoom to be more effectful. Put that in my little notes. Save that. Okay, but that's awesome. Okay, so now we have a unified interface for drawing marching ants. And see, they're totally synchronized. That's so cool. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then the next thing, of course, let's commit this. And then I think the next thing is to like copy. So like copy selection, pixel paint. Oh, oops. Draw the current editor selection as marching ants. The marching ant, this patch moves the marching ant painting code to selection and unifies the timer mechanism so that all marching ants are synchronized and which looks neat. It does look neat. Okay. Then let's make a basic copy feature. So pixel paint main. Let's just add an action for it. Do we have a copy action already? Copy action, we don't. So, wait, what actions do we have? I forget. Let's look at our toolbar and menu bar. So, we have paste. Okay, we need a copy action, clearly. What does paste do? Make paste action. Paste whatever's on the clipboard as a layer. That's amazing. That's actually what I want already. So we just need a way to copy action, GUI common actions, make copy action. So we'll create a lambda for that. And let's make sure that we add it to the menu. So edit menu, add action, copy action, but also to the toolbar. So right here, toolbar, add action, copy action. Yeah, I think we're only going to do copy today. We're not going to do a cut because I don't have it's not obvious to me how we're going to do like what happens to the area left behind. Like we have to figure out some story for holes, transparent holes, as I was talking about in the to-do file here. But a lot of things that we need to do. So copy action. So what does this do? If you have no selection, I guess it should copy the whole image then. So, well, first thing, we'll verify that there's some image loaded. Otherwise, this will get confusing. And we need to have a layer selected. So image editor, active layer. Can't really do anything. But if you do have an image editor, active layer, bitmap. Okay, wait, so how do we do this? Now we want to crop out, yeah, we can crop out something here. So, and then we need a layer relative intersection of the selection rect. This feels like it shouldn't go in main CPP, but rather like active layer copy, and then we'll pass in the image editor selection. Try copy. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Auto bitmap is that. If bitmap, well, then we couldn't copy, sure. Okay, and then let's do some debug logging here just to be clear. Cannot copy with no active layer selected. Try copy from layer failed. And otherwise, we just want to GUI clipboard the set bitmap. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. So we need to implement try copy bitmap, let's say. And it gets a selection. Nice and abstract. So layer.h we'll have an API for graph footer, graphics bitmap, try copy bitmap in selection. Yeah, something like that. And I think we'll just do this for now. Yep. And what goes in here? So here we may need to probably want to clue ourselves into the only being a rect thing at this point. Let's see. How do we know what to copy out? I guess step one is actually to get the bounding rect of the selection. So that's probably an API we should have. So because the size of the copy is going to be the size of the bounding rectangle of the selection. Of course, in our case, it's really simple, but still, let's add that API. So bounding rect, which is just the rect at the moment. So bounding rect is selection bounding rect. Selection, sure. And well, let's try to create that bitmap actually. So, or wait, no, hold on. I'm thinking like, how does this work in a world where you have a polygon selection? So you would create a bitmap, it's the size of the bounding box, and then you would only copy out those pixels which are within the polygon. But I'm sure there are like efficient ways to do that. The obvious way to do it to me is like you would define, I mean, the obvious non-efficient way is to just have an API that tries, like loops through the pixels and, oh, is this within the polygon? You just like do a contain test on each pixel. And if it's in the polygon, you copy it out. If it's not, you don't copy it out. What you want to do is probably like compute entire spans and then copy them all one by one or something like that. But right now we only have a rect, so I think we can bleed through the abstraction layer a little bit here for now. So let's say auto bitmap is, or no, yeah, let's allow ourselves to bleed through. So bitmap cropped bounding rect. I think this can fail. Yeah. This needs to be smarter once we add more sophisticated or more complex selections. Okay, so let's paint a little bit and then select something, copy that, and then poof! It worked. Oh, dude, it's so cool. Okay, so now I select something from this layer, copy and paste. That didn't quite go the way I thought it would. Okay, so what went wrong here? This layer looks good. Why did this turn all black? If I select from here, copy, paste, So that's the right size, it's just black. Cropped, why is that? So the crop just copies out the pixels. And it works for the background, so... Wait, what's going on here? So it defaults to black. Let's see if defaulting to red is, yeah. We're hitting some default behavior. So if global x is greater than or equal to physical width, or global y greater than or equal to physical height, or if it's negative. Oh shoot, wait. It's because the image relative coordinates, of course. So I didn't convert. So we got to do. Can we get to the editor? Image. How do I get to the editor? My selection is image relative, so I need to convert that to layer relative. Can image do that for me? Wait, how do I know where I am within the image? I think layer just has a position, right? Yeah, M location. Okay, yeah, so this is actually pretty straightforward. So we just want to take the bounding rect and then move it by, translate it by our location negative, just to offset it by our layer location within the image. I think. Okay, so copy this out, paste it. Absolutely amazing. Wait, I want to move it. Click. And then select, copy, and paste, and it works. Oh, gorgeous. And I guess the selection should stay on screen if you switch to a different tool. Like, yeah, of course, I mean, why wouldn't it? When you paste, though, should we nuke the selection on paste? I feel like that would make sense. Like, if you've copied something here, and I paste that into a new layer, I feel like the selection should be gone. The new layer should be selected and active. Maybe even the move tool should be activated. I don't know. That's kind of feature work on the paste thing though. So let's see. Let's add this stuff. It's all good. Pixel paint. Add a copy action that copies the selection from selected part. Copies the selected selection from active layer. Yeah, this, you can now select a part of a layer and paste, copy it, and then paste it as a new layer. Very cool. That is very cool. Okay. So just for ergonomy, let's, or for ergonomics, is it ergonomy or ergonomics? I feel like it's ergonomics. Just for ergonomics, let's go ahead and improve the paste action so that if you paste, we add a layer. let's keep a pointer to that layer. So let's not release it here. And then we will simply, because it's a ref putter, right? Yeah. So we'll do that, and then layer, image editor, set active layer. And also let's nuke the selection, image editor, selection clear. Maybe we shouldn't switch to the move tool. I feel like maybe that's a bit much. Like if the app switches tools on you just because you paste, that might be irritating. Although now I do immediately want to drag it. Like I don't want to select more, so. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't know. Let's leave the tool part alone, but let's at least pixel paint. Switch to the new make new pasted layer active immediately. Also clear any selection that existed before pasting. This feels a bit more intuitive. You may also want to consider switching to the move tool automatically on paste, but I'm less sure about that. Yeah, so I think that's kind of where I wanted to get to today. So we have built a basic selection, rectangle selection feature. Which now does not animate unless there is, oh wait, hold on. We gotta fix that. It doesn't animate unless unless there's a selection on the editor. What's up with that? See, this one doesn't animate. Now it animates. Okay, how did we screw that up? Selection. If the selection is non-empty, then we don't update the editor. Ah, shoot, of course. Yeah, that's not good enough. So I guess what we want to say here is, if we are painting somebody else's selection, then we also need to update. It almost feels like the selection here should also track the sort of the tentative selections or the ongoing editing of selection instead of doing this in rectangle select tool. Like maybe this thing could just set selection to like instead of tracking the selection internally here through these things, we would just add a secondary selection thing to this other guy. I don't know. It does feel kind of neat to have it in the tool. I guess to make it behave correctly though, what we could do is just say, like while we're selecting, we will editor selection set selection set interactive selection set in interactive selection begin interactive selection, or just begin maybe. Yeah, this will work, and then we will exit that here. So end interactive selection, and then yeah, so this is not the most beautiful thing, but we'll do this for now. Begin interactive selection. True. False. Okay. And then when we hit our timer update, we'll check if is not empty or in interactive selection. And I don't know why I made the return type bool. That made no sense. Yeah, now it always paints. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pixel paint. Update, animate the marching ants. Even during interactive selection. Always animate marching ants. Selection, the selection object now tracks whether there is an ongoing interactive selection. Originating from one of these selection tools. And if so, it makes sure to pump the marching ants animation. Yeah. So perhaps we should consider moving the tentative interactive selection into the selection class, but for now, let's keep it on the rectangle select tool. It's not like that bad of an abstraction. Okay, so I think this is going to be it for today's video. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching, for hanging out. I hope that you saw something interesting here, and that that you like the progress. I certainly like the progress. It was fun to hack on Pixel Paint a bit. I think this is an application that I want to improve a lot on, because I find myself reaching for GIMP a lot, simply because Pixel Paint is just not, capable enough to be an alternative. But maybe it's not that far from being capable enough for my needs in many cases. So if we keep working on this thing, maybe it could become usable for general stuff sooner than I think. So that's interesting. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you next time. Bye.